So the third maxi I got to say I ever met was Michael Saylor. We had breakfast with the president of Madeira, Miguel, myself, Daniel Prince, Andre, and Miguel's entourage. Saylor turned up a few minutes late, sat down, and then he went straight in with his laser-eyed, orange-pilling masterclass for about 45 minutes. So yeah, that was quite an introduction to meeting proper maxis. Then knowing that we were going to go to the podcast together, and then reminded me about South Park. I was a bit tired. I was like, oh, I'm going to finally get into catching up.
Yeah, the other podcasts, people read up on the macro situation. And
I need to read up. I need to catch up.
For this
on
one, you need
situation.
to catch up on South Park.
And this monarchy would only, it's more of a caretaker of customs and traditions. And it acts as that continuity and unity of people. Because people, at the end of the day, if you just left, I believe that if you just left to just pure voluntarism over time, people might end up losing their identity over time. And I think people like that identity. That's what brings people together.
Before we dive into the show, we'd just like to mention a couple of our show's sponsors, things that we care about and that we think are useful to Bitcoiners all over. So first up is the Orange Pill app. Download the Orange Pill app today from the orangepillapp.com.
Yeah, Orange Pill app. Woo! Rocket ship, get on board.
It's available for iOS and Android. Stack friends and meet like-minded people near you. Connect with your favorite Bitcoiners and speed up hyper-Bitcoinization. We're really excited about the Orange Pill app and its potential to connect Bitcoiners in their local area. Download the Orange Pill app.
It's not a dating app, but you can use it for dating. Download now.
Next up is Wasabi Wallet. It's a great desktop wallet that has privacy by default and CoinJoin built in. It recycles your UTXOs around so that no one knows who you are after it's done the process. Check out wasabiwallet.io. Make sure that that's the actual link you check out because there are scammers out there who want to steal your Bitcoin. But it works in the background. Tor is built in. And when you send coins to it, the coins you take out are private. So download Wasabi Wallet today.
I'm wearing these shades in tribute to Wasabi Wallet because your OPSEC is important. So I'm totally anonymous now, just so you know.
Hello and welcome to the Freedom Footprint Show. We are concerned about your freedom footprint and want to help you to spread as much freedom dioxide as possible. I'm your host, Luke the Pseudo-Finn, and I'm here as always with Knut Svanholm. Good afternoon, Knut.
Good afternoon, Luke. Good to see you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. We're back from our Christmas break and into a new run of recording. I'm super excited. We have a great guest with us today as well. You want to introduce him?
Yeah, today we have my dear friend, Prince Filip of Serbia. I'm looking forward a lot to this one.
Hey guys, how you doing? Good to be here. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Filip. We spent quite a lot of time together this last year. We ended up in 4 conferences together.
Was it 4?
I think it's 4. First in Miami, and then Riga, and then Amsterdam, and then Prague, right?
And then Prague, that's correct.
Yeah. But you've been doing a lot more traveling than that.
I have been actually, yeah. I've got to say Miami was my first ever Bitcoin conference.
Yeah, you had just recently, before that, come out of the closet. You were a closeted Bitcoiner before that, right?
I came out in March this year, last year, I should say. Sorry, March last year when my wife and I were invited onto the Ivan Ivanovic show, which is an evening show in Serbia, which is the biggest sort of talk show, evening show in Serbia, like the Saturday Night Live equivalent. And my wife and I, we were invited. We met with the host a few nights before, got to know him better. He lives on our road, which was quite nice. And he found out that I'm into Bitcoin. And then on the evening of the recording of the show, I was talking about my work. I was talking quite well. I wasn't very interested about it. And then he knows how to read people quite well. He just butted straight in and says, now a good time to talk about crypto. And that's when I then went on and said, it's not about crypto. It's all about Bitcoin. And I went for about 2 or 3 minutes on Bitcoin. And then that was obviously picked up by the Bitcoin crowd and went viral. And next thing I know, I'm speaking to people like Safety and a Moose. It was also my first ever podcast with Daniel Prince. And then I ended up in Miami, invited to Miami, where I met the likes of you. You signed a book for me, which was great. You said, I remember the signature was, the note was, some emperors do wear clothes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I noticed you wore clothes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's either that or I'm completely, hypnotized and it's, and you're really naked like everyone else. And I just imagine clothes. Who knows? No, jokes aside. Yeah, that was great domino game of coincidences there going on, because you flew over with Daniel and the president of Madeira.
Correct.
Andre, right?
Correct. Yeah. Well, Daniel took me under his wing when I came out. And
yeah.
And
as he does.
And he introduced me to a lot of nice guys. Yeah. So I was got in touch with a lot of excellent Bitcoiners. One of them was actually Samson Mao, we can go on to about later. But yeah. But he introduced me to Andre. Next thing I know, we were Daniel managed to get us out to Miami. Got us free VIP tickets, their well passes, which was fantastic. And myself, Andre, and Daniel shared an Airbnb. And of course, Andre had been doing really good work in orange pilling the president of Madeira, Miguel. And we actually met the first night we went to the FTX stadium.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, the FTX arena, I should say. The former FTX arena where Miami Heat plays. And it was Miami Heat, Sacramento Kings.
Excuse my ignorance, but is that a hockey team or something?
No, it's basketball.
Basketball, okay.
Yeah. Really high time preference stuff actually happening on the court. You could really see there's a lot of advertisement, loads of commercials. There was LGBTQ flags as well. The whole thing was happening there. But it was fun. We had some free. We were in a box like an entertainment area. Had some free drinks and food, some sushi. It was all very fiat and fun, and and that's where we got to meet Miguel and his entourage. And the next morning was when we had, before even heading to the Bitcoin conference. At this point, Andre and Daniel Prince were the first two maxis I met in person properly. Because I became a maxi early. Well, I say early that year. No, what was that? 2022. So in 2020, 2021, I became a maxi as I studied more about Bitcoin.
Good year to become a maxi.
Yeah. And then, sold all my shit coins and became a maxi and was like, yeah, this is amazing. It's incredible. I can't believe this has been sitting, under my nose all this time. And, I wasn't fully aware of it. Living in Serbia all this time and not really knowing any other maxis until I finally in person met Daniel Prince and Andre. So the third maxi I got to say I ever met was we had breakfast at his house in Miami. It was Michael Saylor. And we had breakfast with the president of Madeira, Miguel, myself, Daniel Prince, Andre, and Miguel's entourage. And we sat there in Saylor's Miami villa, incredible villa on the beach, on Miami Beach, and amazing breakfast that we were served. Saylor turned up a few minutes late, sat down. We sort of had a little small talk, and then he went straight in with his laser-eyed, orange pilling masterclass for about 45 minutes, just talking straight at the presidents, and it was beautiful. I wish I had it recorded. So yeah, that was quite an introduction to Miami, to learn, to meeting proper maxis. Then next thing I know, I was at the conference meeting people like you and yeah, loads of great maxis.
Nice. I actually have a story about close to that arena, before it was called the FTX arena, because that is where we were there with the tall ship. On the other side, there's a bridge right next to it, right over to one of those islands.
Yes, yeah,
And
yeah.
that's where we were moored. So I crossed that bridge every day and saw that arena.
Yeah, of course. This was during your sailing days.
Yeah, exactly. And found a nice little Peruvian restaurant in which I had lunch a couple of times in the city center, which is close to where that thing is. Yeah,
Ceviche. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I've never been to a basketball game, but I've been to 2 NHL games, hockey games. But I had to leave both times because there was too much sound and too much, flashy lights. I couldn't take it. Like everything is sponsored by something.
Every second, every minute, there's they stop it and it comes out the sponsors, colors, lights, noises, flags, everything.
You go to take a leak and your bathroom break is sponsored by someone. Like everything is sponsored.
Well, so what I like about football, I gotta say, I do like football. It's probably one of my high time preference, hobbies. Actually, let's say hobby, pastimes, whatever it is. But when you go to a football game, there's none of that. And even during the half time, there's little bits of that, but it's really quite dumbed down in the UK, and in Serbia even less so. So it's great. But yeah, you go to America and everything is ram-packed with any opportunity to fiat, basically.
Yeah, and then you went back to Saylor's house later that week, and I think that's where we met. Oh, did we meet earlier? No, we met before that.
We met before,
yeah, way before that. We went to the conference, of course, and on that rooftop in that the Swan party.
That's it. Yeah. But then we ended up at Saylor's barbecue.
And we shared a Wagyu steak there.
That's it.
Yeah, good times.
He was Wagyu steak and Wagyu burgers. I remember I went up there and I said, "Can I have a burger without the Wagyu burger without the buns?" It was fantastic.
Yeah. But yeah, you mentioned Samson. You're working for him at the moment, right? Or with him, probably a better description. Yeah.
When I was speaking to Daniel Prince pre-Miami, he introduced me to Samson, saying that Samson's going on stage. Do you know about him? I was like, yeah, I've heard about him. And he goes, well, he's going on stage. He's into nation state adoption. And so he said, well, maybe Samson might like to have you on his stage at one point. I was like, that's great. I'll put you in touch. So he put me in touch. So I had a conversation with Samson. And when we spoke, he mentioned that he's starting a new company. And that, he asked me if I would be interested. And I was like, yeah, I didn't think much of it. And that was as far as we went on the telephone conversation. Then we met in person in Miami, and he, within a few minutes of speaking to me, says, I'm recruiting you, Filip. Do you want to join my new company, Jan 3, which I'm going to announce soon? I was like, yeah, why not? I didn't really think about it, but yeah, Samson Mao offering a job like that, me wanting to get into a full-time Bitcoin job and leave my fiat finance job, I couldn't say no. So, and it was to do with nation state adoption and pushing forward Bitcoin technology around the world, accelerating hyper Bitcoinization. So it was fantastic to have that job offer.
Fantastic. Describe what Jan 3 does
in a nutshell. It's a Bitcoin technologies company that's aiming to spread Bitcoin technology around the world and accelerate hyper Bitcoinization with an aim also for nation state adoption. We will be releasing After Wallet, which is a wallet that Samson started at Blockstream, and he's going to release it out. We're going to release it in the next few months. It's going to be Bitcoin only, but it's going to have stablecoin USDT, but on liquid sidechain, so it's Bitcoin only. And this will be that's because we feel that USDT, I know it's a stablecoin. Yeah, it's not Bitcoin, but it does act as a bridge, as a connector between the fiat world to Bitcoin. So it acts as a bridge to getting people orange pilled and makes it easier for people to understand. And that's going to be big in Latin America, because in Latin America, they like exposure to the US dollar. It will make it super easy for them to use. It's still going to be secure. It's going to be a really, really easy wallet to use in Latin America, but also in all rest of the world as well. It's going to be open to everyone. but we're going to be focused on the developing world, the emerging markets.
All right. After, I think after Amsterdam, that's when you left for South America, right?
Yeah.
You went to adopting Bitcoin and Argentina.
We went to, that's it. We went to La BitConf, Argentina, which was my first time in Argentina. First time in Argentina, first time in Buenos. And that was, I didn't speak at the conference, but Samson did. And he had keynotes, but he was also invited. I think this was great. The conference was a bit shitcoiny. It had a lot of Ethereum guys over there. And Vitalik was there as well.
Oh yeah, I saw that. He called Vitalik out, right?
Yeah.
On stage.
It just happened that FTX blew up the day or two before the conference happened.
Oh yeah.
And so they decided to do a last minute panel to discuss FTX. And they invited Jimmy Song, Samson, and Vitalik and a few other people to talk about it. This was on the first day of the last panel. And this was fantastic that they allowed Jimmy Song, Samson, and Vitalik on the stage all at the same time.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. And just what happened was that the panel started off with the guy talking about regulations. It was all kind of boring. And it kind of went on to Samson. He gave his overview, and then it went on to becoming more of a Bitcoin v shitcoin argument, not talking really about FTX so much. And it was fantastic. Jimmy Song showed a lot of passion and basically went on about the whole not your keys, not your coins, and this should be just lesson learned and stuff. And also went on about, and Samson then took a few, I wouldn't say that he didn't do direct aims at Vitalik, but he did say that, regarding SBF, that if people shouldn't be looking up to idolizing these autistic type characters who are pretending to be autistic when really what they're not, they end up, doing what SBF does and losing everyone's money. And while he said this, he was also looking at Vitalik at the same time. When he said this, he got a big round of applause. Even the director of the conference, Rodolfo, was clapping as well. They turned on the lights, they put on the clapping music, which was like the bass, do as well. I was clapping. And that was great. There was loads of other great remarks from Samson and Jimmy Song. Vitalik was just dishing out a lot of word salads. It was terrible. There was a lot of energy on the stage, a lot of cheers on both sides. It was fantastic. It was the panel to end all panels. And yeah, I'm so happy to be there. It was beautiful. But then later, a day or two later, we found the conference actually had to send out a press release condemning Samson's autistic remark. When actually Samson didn't call anyone autistic. They said that people should stop behaving and pretending to be autistic.
Yeah. And there's a clip of Samson, like Vitalik mentions all the points that went wrong with the FTX crash, and Samson replies by but everything you just said is applicable to Ethereum too.
Yeah, that's it. It was brilliant.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's got to end now. There are many gullible people out there, but I sure as hell hope that crypto is not coming back in the way, because for us that were in this during 17 and that crash, I mean, it was just this last year is just basically the same thing with other coins.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it happened before that too, like in 13, 14. If you look at the list of all the shit coins, the second best crypto, and so it's the names keep on changing.
Well, that was when I first got into it in 2017. I also got distracted by shitcoinery and those ICOs, and I got burnt a few times, thinking I'll make a quick buck here and there. And it was all 2017. It was all about ICOs, and I made the mistake, but I didn't learn my lesson quite so well. But at least I wasn't sold into this whole NFT bullshit for 2021. And by that point, by 2020, 2021, I was already transitioning into a maxi. So what is the 2024? Is it 2024, 2025 will be the next bull market. craze. What's
Yeah.
going to be the next thing? It was like ICO is 17, NFT is 21.
Yeah.
What's going to be 25?
Yeah. If history repeats itself, but like George Lucas says, it's more like it rhymes that it actually repeats itself.
No, that's what that was. What's his name? Who wrote Mark Twain? Mark Twain said history doesn't rhyme, but history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes.
But it rhymes, yeah. So
Yeah.
George Lucas stole it from Mark Twain. So Tad better thinker than George Lucas. Yeah, just a bit. Where were we? Yeah, then you went to El Salvador. There were a lot of videos of you flying helicopters over volcanoes and stuff.
Yeah, it was quite the adventure. So we took a flight. Samson and I took a flight to Panama, and in Panama we got a small little private jet to El Salvador, and we landed in El Salvador. And Milena Mayorga, the ambassador of El Salvador to the USA, she greeted us at the airport. Landed, got off the plane. I was wearing like a linen suit, trying to look all dapper and everything. And then I started speaking in Spanish in front of the cameras, and I think took a few people by surprise. So I think that El Salvadorians like that I speak fluent Spanish. And next thing I know, that was weird. That was after coming off a red eye, straight to that, and straight to our Airbnb, and then straight to the conference when I'm on the panel with Milena Mayorga and some other. I completely forgot who else I was on the stage with. That's terrible of me. It was all a bit of a blur. Yeah.
It tends to be because you're in all these ridiculously adventurous situations. It's all a blur for me too, with all the conferences and everyone I've met.
Exactly, it does, yeah. And then that evening after the panel, we went straight to do some socializing, and we had to go straight onto live television. Samson and I did a live television with Canal Yes, I think, in El Salvador, and that was like an hour-long interview. Samson had a live sort of a sync-in translator, but I was speaking all in Spanish and stuff. And by that point, I'm super tired, having not slept I was on a red eye, not slept at all. And my Spanish was getting loose and broken and stuff, but everyone was still understanding me. I was like, yeah, that's great. So I was encouraged. It was really fun. I mean, that was great, but we had a good dinner afterwards. And then I slept for like 12 hours straight after that. A day or two later, when the conference moved to Bitcoin Beach, in El Zonte, we decided to rent a helicopter and fly over El Salvador, fly through some volcanoes that weren't erupting, but were erupting a day or two later. So that was good timing. We flew over the location where Bitcoin City is going to be, and flew around there, and then flew up the coast as the sun was setting, which was beautiful. It felt really proper Apocalypse Now sort of scene without the bombs going off. And we arrived in El Zonte, and the helicopter landed. It was like we landed on a football field as the game was happening, which was not great, but it was exciting. And we went to the beach, and it was hot and humid. I was wearing my linen suit jacket and shorts. Big mistake. I took it off. And then the next day we went to the lake. I forget the name of the lake. And we went on the speedboat there, and I lost all my Bitcoins.
Sad to hear that.
Yeah.
It happened to me too. So where did you go after El Salvador?
And then after El Salvador, we finished off in the lake it was a beautiful place that was staying in. Edwin Rivas, who's our marketing director of Jan 3. His family have a lovely property there, and he's El Salvadorian.
All right.
And then we flew back. I flew back directly back. Well, not directly. Three flights back to Belgrade, to cold Belgrade, from warm, humid, beautiful El Salvador to very cold, wintry, almost winter Belgrade. It was quite the shot.
Oh yeah, that was around the time that I was in Bulgaria. I think we had some conversation there.
Yep, I think we did.
Yeah. And then we met in Prague for the Liberty in Our
before
Lifetime.
that, yeah. Well, we met in Riga. The Riga was when Samson announced myself joining Jan 3.
Yeah. That's when I met Samson for the first time.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I ever have had a conversation with him before. Well, on Twitter I did, but and maybe I met him briefly in Miami, but that's the first time I got properly introduced to him.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, now he's on the Free Madeira advisory board.
That's great.
Yeah.
Which you're doing great work on.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Quite the team, I hear. You have the likes of Jeff Booth, yourself, and
Daniel. Yeah.
Daniel, of course. Can't forget
Andre.
The other Prince, Andre, and Greg Foss as well.
Yeah. A couple of others.
Who shouts, do the fucking math.
Yeah, do the fucking math.
Better than anyone else.
Yeah. I spent a lot of time with Greg last year. 4 days in a bus in Bulgaria with Greg. I was thinking of designing a t-shirt that said, I survived 4 days in a bus with Greg Foss. I would have been something.
For the Amsterdam conference, I remember, I think I was in just before Riga. I get the email notification that said, "Oh yeah, we found you're being invited to the so and so panel." And I looked at the panel. It was moderated by Dylan
Leclerc, yeah,
Leclerc, and then it was with Jeff Booth, Greg Foss, and Nico Gilge.
Nico's great.
Nico's fantastic.
Yeah. Nico was in Bulgaria too. And Jeff. Yeah.
And Jeff.
So
I was like, holy shit, this is like a panel full of heavyweights, like big brained.
Yeah. But that's always the case. You always feel like, and like our friend Nico says, like if you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah.
So and in Bitcoin, you're always in the right room.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a great dinner with Jeff Booth the night before, and he blew my mind with his take on life, on everything, basically on it was I don't know what I listened, I don't know what I heard, but it was similar to what you wrote about on everything divided by 21. He was talking about the quantum realm, basically.
Yeah. We've had some conversations about that. Quite a few conversations actually. We get the best insights over ponchos late at night. And then we met in Prague, and I remember
Liberty of Lifetime.
Yeah, Liberty in our lifetime.
Lifetime.
In our lifetime. Yeah,
in our lifetime.
Yeah. We had Peter on this show. When was that show released? Like last week or something?
Yeah. For some context here, this is actually fantastic. So we've talked to Andre. So we did a whole Free Madeira thing. So that was 2 episodes ago. Then our last one was Peter. So we talked to him all about the Free Cities project. And so now we're kind of tying it all together. It's awesome to see kind of you through all of this.
It all kind of connects. Yeah. Peter Young, I was first introduced to him. He helps Safety with his podcast, and he helps to manage that. And yeah, also met with him in Miami as well, and he does great work with the Free Cities Foundation. So, and I've been speaking to him about that and wanted to help them out as well with some of their projects.
Well, in Prague, that was my first time in Prague. I always wanted to go, but for some reason I never went before this. And yeah, what a beautiful city that is.
It's my second time. I've been in the airport 3 times. No, it was in the airport first time, but never went to Prague. Second time, I stepped into Prague for an afternoon. This time, I actually stepped into Prague. I mean, no, actually stayed the night in Prague, 3 nights. So that was cool.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to going back. I think I should be going to the Bitcoin conference in Prague in early mid-June.
Yeah, so are we. The BTC Prague conference.
That's it.
So don't miss that. That's going to be a great one.
Luckily, it's my sister's wedding just before on the 3rd, and it's like a weekend or 2 or the weekend after that. So it's perfect timing.
Great. Me and Luke are going to see Pantera after the conference.
You're into Pantera?
Yeah,
we're going around.
They're not still around. 2 of them are dead, but they did some sort of like tribute / reunion thing. So the bassist and the singer are still there, but
the other 2 guys die.
Well, Dimebag Darrell was shot on stage.
Crap! Yeah,
you remember that?
Yeah. Damn.
some crazy guy just walked up and shot him. Is basically the same thing as Lennon. Like, you broke up Pantera, you asshole.
That's it with the Pantera. I want to see the album. I remember buying an album when I was like, when I was a kid. I want to see.
Oh, you were a metalhead?
A little bit. I was more of a rap head, but that's the one. Far Beyond Driven. I bought that one. I think.
Yeah, what a great album.
Oh, you have to come to the concert with us then. It's going on the
yeah. We'll have to manage.
I was into my bit of heavy metal. I remember Sepultura.
Oh yeah, yeah, great. Chaos AD was a great album.
I forgot the name of the album. There's one tune, Crystal Mountain or something like that. I remember that. It's just insane. Yeah, I was taken back by the drumming in heavy metal. It's just insanely fast.
Yeah,
but that was short lived. I gotta say. Then I was more into hip hop after that. Then I became into drum and bass, and then I'm more into.
Sorry to hear that.
I know. Then now, but yeah, that was short lived as well. But then now I'm into like sort of electronica and techno. But like, I understand that 99.9% of techno is shit. It's like big, or, there's that 0.001% is fantastic. And then the rest is shitcoins, basically.
Yeah. But we have to reintroduce you to the metal scene and go and see Zakk Wylde and Charlie Benante as stand-ins for Phil and Dime for the Pantera reunion.
Do you sing?
I'm going to sing along for sure. 5 minutes alone. Yeah. So when in Prague, I vividly remember us standing outside of the Parallelini police place. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but there's this really cool cypherpunk place, and
that's it. It was next to the barbecue place, and then we went in there and we enjoyed. We had a good evening, and we were talking. We remember, our conversation led us to South Park and Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Absolutely, yeah. We were waiting for a cab, I think, and we got into South Park, and it turns out you're a massive South Park fan.
I haven't actually watched anything post 2000 or 2018 because I got distracted with work, and then the pandemic happened. And moved to Belgrade and never really catch up. But I've got a lot of catching up to do. But yeah, I love South Park. I think South Park, there's a lot of good social commentary there. A lot of good episodes. Some of it can be a little bit, liberal, but then a lot of it is fantastic.
Yeah, they always make fun of both sides.
Yeah, that's it.
And the joke is the priority at all times.
Oh, completely. Yeah. Some of my favorite episodes. I mean, things like from 2000, was it 2008? Or 2007? Was Imagination Land?
Yeah, that's a trilogy, and if you haven't seen it, you should go and watch it instantly because it's so good. It turns out that the real enemy is our imagination.
Imagination, yeah.
Yeah, and it's so cleverly written. And
there's other episodes, War over Warcraft one.
Which they made with Blizzard Entertainment, so it looks like the actual game.
And the other one,
Make Love Warcraft.
Make Love Warcraft. That's it. Yeah. And then the four boys end up in the basement of Cartman's mum's basement, trying to make up points. Defeat that guy who. How do you defeat someone who? How do you defeat he who has no life? How do you kill?
Yeah, that's how do you kill Bitcoin?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
The nerds shall inherit the earth. Oh yeah, but you should definitely check out the later seasons. And they started.
I actually started a little bit yesterday. I got to admit, I started with season 23, knowing that we were going to go to the podcast together. And reminding about South Park, and I was like, I was a bit tired. I was like, I'm going to finally get into catching up. So yeah, that's it. It's great. It hasn't lost its touch.
Yeah, the other podcasts, people read up on the macro situation, and
I need to read up. I need to catch up.
For this
on
one, you need to catch up on South Park. Yeah, but Matt Stray signed some huge contract with for like to make, I think, 12 1-hour movies or longer episode, like TV movies.
I haven't read about that. That's good news.
Yeah, and they're still making like 5 more seasons, and they're in the midst of that. So they already made like half of that, and in some of those, like in 2 of those movie type things, they mentioned Bitcoin, not in a very favorable light.
Really?
Because I think they still haven't, you know, made the distinction between Bitcoin and crypto.
Right.
So they mention Bitcoin briefly, and this is happening in the future. So there are future versions of every character, and turns out that Butters is in a mental asylum because he's an NFT salesman.
Okay, well that's that's good.
Yeah, and he's, you know, ripped people off left and right, and yeah, and it's hilarious because it's really good at poking fun of at the crypto scene, at the larger crypto scene, which, yeah, deservedly so. Like,
one thing I didn't like about South Park is in 2005 they took piss out, which was great. I thought it was great. They took the piss out of Al Gore, Man Bear Pig, which was referencing climate change. They're saying it's a load of, which is a load of you know, man-made climate with a load of bullshit. And then I think it was a few years ago they kind of apologized and they did say that Man Bear Pig was a problem, was an issue. And,
maybe we were wrong.
Maybe we were wrong, which you know, so hopefully they'll do maybe we were wrong about Bitcoin.
yeah. We'll see. But I mean, even then, they didn't really take sides. They never take sides.
Not fully, but they had. Yeah, maybe we're. Yeah, true.
There's quite a funny scene in that episode when people there's a family having a conversation at a restaurant, and Man Bear Pig is just eating people in the background, and they're discussing something completely arbitrary. So the humor is still there, regardless of what you think about the issue.
Oh yeah, when I last left South Park, it was Member Berries.
Oh yeah.
Member Berries, brilliant. That was brilliant.
That became a huge meme.
Yeah.
That's when they started experimenting with serialized content, right? So the whole season is serialized.
Yes.
In another way, in a different way from previous seasons. And it sort of fell flat on its face at the end there, because I think that's the season when they expected Hillary to win, and then Trump won, and Trump is Garrison, and is Mr. Garrison in South Park.
That's it, yeah.
Didn't really have a backup plan there. We could discuss South Park for hours on end. Yeah. Did you see the concert they did with Primus and Ween?
No.
So they had a 25th anniversary. Imagine that they've been doing this for 25 years now, and they had a concert in Colorado with Primus. So Les Claypool, like Primus, who made the theme song for South Park. He was sort of toast-mastering the whole thing, or being the head figure there, and Matt and Trey are there, and they're playing their instruments and playing all the South Park songs and the Team America songs, and you know, everything, and it's just brilliant. And they're really, really skilled musicians. It's one of the better concerts I've seen in the last decade, and it's hilarious, of course.
Of course, Team America, whatever it's called, that film was 2005. That was brilliant. That was good.
Yeah,
not Captain America. Whatever, you know what. Team America, is it Team America?
Team America World Police.
That's it. Well,
yeah, where they make fun of all the actors taking
Mad Dave.
Yeah. And Sean Penn, who wants to imprison unvaccinated people and stuff right now. So
he's really gone down the wrong path. The poor guy. I mean, he's a fantastic actor. Remember him? Was it 21 Grams and really, really fantastic roles. And now he's giving his Oscar to Zelensky.
Yeah.
Actually, it's quite fitting. Zelensky is a brilliant actor.
He deserves an Oscar for sure. Yeah, but Sean Penn, there are so many actors, brilliant actors, that are so confused politically. Like Joaquin Phoenix, for instance, he's a really talented actor, of course. But then he thinks it's, the cow will take offense if we milk it. So that's confusion.
But that's why I thought Ricky Gervais, when he hosted the Golden Globes.
Oh yeah,
or the Oscars. I don't forget what it was, and he just took piss. He's like, he says like, hey, don't get on stage. If you win a reward, get on stage. Thank your gods and whatever. But you're in no position to talk about politics or about everyday people's life or something like that.
Yeah. And he's been doing that a couple of times, and they keep inviting him back, and he takes the piss out of everyone. That's hilarious. So, back to where we were with the conferences and everything. So we'll see each other in Prague for sure.
I'll probably be going to Miami.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, good. We'll see each other before. That's before. That's
before.
Mid-May.
Yeah. What else? Is that like the first one?
Maybe, I don't know. Look, I don't know if you saw Samson's tweet recently, but he said that he wants, as we both want to focus on, we don't want to go to, we don't want to do the Bitcoin conference tour, because, he's done that, that's been done, and it's great, but it is preaching to the choir. It's great for networking and stuff, but really it takes up a lot of time, and really we should be pushing outside of our circle and trying to go to hostile grounds. Yeah, so my idea is to try and penetrate the West.
So you're going to Davos then?
Yeah, hopefully. Well, no, we'll see. Not now. I don't think this time, but maybe in a few years we'll try and we'll actually, as Schwab says himself, as he said it himself. He said we penetrate the cabinet. Talking about the Canadian.
Yeah. It's penetration, all right.
Yes, penetration. So we're gonna penetrate the West.
Yeah, that's a good luck with that.
Yeah, because my understanding is like you go to the WEF is probably made up of there's probably about 10% of them who really are that, I wouldn't say nefarious, but the guys who are really trying to push that sort of real globalist agendas crap. The other 90% or 50% or whatever percent is just there because it's the West and it's surrounded by rich people and, your connections, networking, and it's a good place to try and push business and, stuff like that. So if you can get to those guys, great. That's great.
Of course.
Yeah. And, just fly under the radar with the other characters that everyone talks about. And I think it'll be fun. It'll be fun as well. Maybe even get a meeting with one of the big characters. I don't know.
Yeah. I'd love to see that. The image I'm getting in my head at the moment is like that final scene from Return of the Jedi. But Klaus Schwab is Darth Vader with a mask off, and underneath the mask is Klaus Schwab.
He looks like him.
And you're Luke Skywalker.
Oh,
and Davos is burning down to the ground. And you're trying to save Klaus, who's just had a heart failure from the vaccine. And he hasn't taken it, but okay. You're leaning over him and saying, "Oh, there's still time to save you. I can still save you." And he says, "You already have, son." And he dies with laser eyes or something.
Brilliant.
I would think it would be Darth Sidious would be Klaus Schwab, but that's just me.
Yes. So that's how democracy dies, with thunderous applause. That's more fitting. It's tiered. So it's Darth Vader, Sidious, and then Klaus Schwab is the most evil of the three.
I don't know. Is he? There's going to be worse. There's worse characters than Schwab out there. He's a face. He's just a face.
Yeah. Maybe. But he looks the part. So that's the thing, especially when he's wearing those.
What is that? Who is Yuval Harari then? Who is he in Star Wars?
Oh, who is he? He's probably Lando Calrissian, because he was the hero for a while and then he sold out. Wasn't that the case?
Yeah, even the
That-
Sapien book had question marks all over it. But then when did he sell himself out to being
But
Schwartz
when he
advisory?
started talking about programming people and how,
that's it. calling most of humanity useless eaters or something like that.
yeah. What a humanist.
Yeah. I mean, real Malthus, real beautiful Malthusianists, those guys are. They're such good people.
It's so sad though, when obviously, good brains turn to, give in to these collectivist narratives, because it's sort of, I don't know what it is, but
Money?
probably
Money and power.
Probably.
Well,
Money and power.
What's the saying that absolute money corrupts? What's the saying? You know better than me.
Absolute power corrupts.
Corrupts.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Corrupts absolutely. Yeah.
And these guys have absolute power.
But I think in some cases it might be more. A lot of thinkers think about other things than human societies. So they're really good at thinking about other stuff. It's like an astrophysicist might not spend a lot of time with Hoppe and Rothbard books, but so I think it's very easy for people to fall for the collectivist narratives and think that this is just the way the world is, and they don't allow themselves to think in more libertarian or voluntarist ways, and therefore they easily fall into that trap where they think they're doing a good thing.
It's the greater good trap. It's
the
terrible.
greater good trap, and then that thing in turn makes them enablers of really horrid shit that's coming down the line,
Of course.
like CBDCs and so on. So
People just don't realize.
Yeah, so I don't think it's just the money and some evil guy gives a public figure a bag of cash. That's like not enough. I think these people really think they're doing something good for the world by like imposing their views on others.
Delusional.
Yeah, it really is. Hey, Luke, can you tell our listeners a bit more about the Consensus Network, the platform that this show is on, and the publishing house that publishes my books? What is the Consensus Network, Luke?
Thanks, Knut. The Consensus Network is a Bitcoin-only publisher and translator. In other words, translates Bitcoin books into all sorts of languages. Anyone who's interested in translating a book into their language can get in touch with the Consensus Network to help translate and spread the Bitcoin message throughout the world. We have lots of great examples here. Knut's books are some of the most popular on the site. Check out consensus.network or bitcoinbook.shop to see everything that Consensus has to offer.
That's bitcoinbook.shop. Use the affiliate code Footprint for 10% off.
Knut, can you tell us about how to get in touch with you and find out more about your stuff and the things that you're involved in these days?
Yeah, sure, Luke. So I'm at Knut Svanholm on Twitter. I also have a website, knutsvanholm.com, where you can find all of my books. There's a whole bunch of books. These old two ones, Sovereignty Through Mathematics and Independence Reimagined, are being rehashed into one book that's coming out with a foreword by Prince Philip. I'm also making a wine. I'm not making this wine, but this is a wine bottle with a Bitcoin bee on it that you can sign up for on my website. And you can also find all sorts of Everything Divided merch if you're interested in that. So that's how you support me.
Talking about Rothbard, I actually finally read Anatomy of the State.
Oh, that's great. That's a great little book. Everyone should read that. That's a good introduction to Rothbard. It's a good introduction to libertarian thought and and Rothbard in particular.
Finally read it 2 days flying back to Belgrade on the second flight. It's a quick read, and I'd like to read it again. It's fantastic. Yeah. It's well put together. There's one chapter I need to definitely read it again. That's when it's how the state transcends its limits. But otherwise, what the state is, what it's not. It's fantastic. Yeah, punchy quotes in this.
Yeah, there's a couple of video renditions of it on YouTube, I believe. So if you Google Anatomy of the State, you'll find a bunch of videos that people made from the book, and it's a really good little book.
The other one I want to read. Oh wait, I'm gonna get over here. Wait. Here we go. Democracy, the God That Failed.
Oh yeah.
By Hans Hermann Hoppe.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, have you read it?
I have, but it's not my favorite Hoppe book. So Hoppe's written way better books than that. And having said that, it's a really good book. It's a tad repetitive because like the chapters go through the same things over and over again. So,
well, that's good to drill the message.
Yeah, but it's a very good book, and you'll definitely like it because he points out why monarchies are better than democracies.
Do you agree?
I do agree.
Good.
Yeah, of course I do. But that's a hard pill to swallow. He also points out that monarchies are also not optimal. That there is an even better way.
But what is the better way then?
Pure voluntarism, basically.
Yeah.
That there's no coercive things going on at all. But the thing I like about Anatomy of the State is like the thing people don't get about libertarianism is like there's a lot of people that think the state should be minimal, and Rothbard is very, very eloquently describes why that is just a utopian idea, as no state at all, because over time states grow like cancers.
Yes.
Once the institutions are established, they're going to fight for their own survival, and they're going to grow.
Of course.
And they need more and more maintenance all the time, and more money.
Yeah. Jimmy Song said this in Argentina. I heard him over saying that bureaucracy is a cancer. It's just a growing cancer.
It is. And
yeah.
What's the quote? The bureaucracy is expanding to meet the needs of the expanding bureaucracy.
That's it. Brilliant.
Yeah. I love that. And it's always true. So it's not that, and that's like the fallacy in people when thinking about democracy. They think they can just vote for, as long as you just vote the bad guys out and the good guys in, things will make a turn for the better. But it's not really true over a long time span, because over a long time span, the bureaucracy needs to meet the ends of the expanding bureaucracy. And once an institution is established, you can't just fire those people. And furthermore, like it's tampering with the market process and making everything less efficient. And then capitalism gets the blame. I wrote about this in the second book, Independence Reimagined, why collectivists win. Because if you're the more individualistic you are in your thoughts and how you think countries should be run, the less prone you are to vote for the same party as every other individualist. Like if you get 10 individualists in a room, they'll probably vote for 10 different parties.
Yeah.
But if you get 10 collectivists in a room, they'll all vote for the same parties. So collectivists win elections because they're more concerned with belonging to a certain group than they are with what that group is actually saying. So there are so many things to this, and also if you have any wealth redistribution scheme, including point taxes and subsidies and whatnot, inevitably leads to people on the receiving end of those tend to vote for more of those.
Yes, so exactly.
Hoppe describes it very eloquently in Democracy, the God That Failed. If you disincentivize productivity and incentivize unproductivity, you're going to get more people to be unproductive and fewer people to be productive. And that's just the same thing. There's so many things about that in Hoppe's writing about incentives that
this is what I really want to get into. Do you know Michael Bitstein?
Of course.
Yeah,
I met him for the first time in real life at Seyfriedin's dinner in Miami.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I met him as well for the first time, only time, but we've been talking a lot, and he wants to help me help me with my rabbit hole down Austrian economics. He used to come out with a new Substack. Basically the Bitstein, I think it's the Bitstein report or something. What is it?
That's interesting.
The Bitstein brief. The Bitstein brief. And he's just had, I think he's only written 2 articles, but he's going to start writing a lot of them. He just came out December last year. So, and he's a brain in Austrian economics. I mean, a lot of things as well, but, I'm looking forward to going down my Austrian economics rabbit hole, and he's going to help me along the way.
Excellent.
We're going to read Democracy, the God That Fells together. He wants to read that again after several years. So it's going to be fun.
The best Hopper book in my mind is one called Economic Theory and the Austrian Method.
Okay.
So it has the most boring title ever. It's not going to lure anyone in, but it's an excellent book. Such an eye-opener on, how powerful deductive reasoning is compared to empiricism. Maybe you don't know this, but I'm writing a book on praxeology at the moment.
Yes.
So looking forward to that and turning that into a course. We're doing a praxeology course. Well, once the book is done, or maybe even a bit before that, via the Emeralize app, which is a really interesting. We had that guy Santos who makes the Emeralize platform on this show last week, right? Luke was one of the recent the latest episodes
came out on Jan 3rd actually, so coincidentally
Jan 3.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So which
is
is
like launched, by the way, is so they just recently launched, and it's a great idea, like an education platform powered by Lightning, basically in a nutshell. So really excited. I think we've got the bug over here about what they're doing over at Emeralize.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so
I'll look into it.
But while we're doing the shills, we can mention the rest of the stuff. Orange Pill app is supporting the show.
Orange Pill app is I was meant to speak to the guy in Orange Pill app. It's basically helping Bitcoiners connect together across the world.
Absolutely, and so it's it can be used as a dating app, but it's not primarily a dating app, except for bromances in saunas between Bitcoin.
It would have helped me when I came out.
Yeah, that would be a dangerous combination.
Yeah, I know.
So you find basically it's you don't give out that much information about yourself, but your approximate location. So you can find Bitcoiners within your area, in your town, or and you can decide for yourself how big that circle is going to be.
All right.
And you find other Bitcoiners, and it's not free, so it costs you like $3 a month or something, because if it's free, you're the product, right? So there's to avoid having it overloaded with spam and bots and shitcoiners. So it's trying to connect Bitcoiners across the world, and it's moving rapidly.
What else are you going to shill?
What else are we going to shill? We're going to shill my stuff.
We'll shill
but that's obvious.
Oh yeah, I'm writing the foreword to your book. I don't think we've.
Oh yeah. We're doing a rehash of my first 2 books. Yeah, this is the big announcement, right? So we're doing a rehash of Sovereignty Through Mathematics and Independence Reimagined, which is my middle Bitcoin book that nobody knows about, but that's where the one-shot principle is from, where which is has spread around Twitterverse, about how absolute scarcity could only be discovered once.
That's what I love. I mean, that's so true.
Oh, thank you.
This is what I use quite a lot.
Yeah.
But it's absolutely logical. Anything after that is just inflation.
Yeah. A copy of resistance. the very thing discovered. What's the one-shot principle? I see if I can remember it on top of my head. Absolute mathematical scarcity achieved by consensus in a sufficiently decentralized distributed network was a discovery rather than an invention. It cannot be discovered again because the very thing discovered was resistance to replicability itself.
Brilliant. Beautiful. Sorry.
Thank you. So that and Sovereignty to Mathematics, which is sort of my breakthrough book, is being rehashed and put together as one book. So it's an actual book now that can have hardcovers and stuff instead of 2 pamphlets. And you're going to write the forward for it, and I'm looking forward to that.
Quite amazing, actually, given that your take on monarchy in the book as well. There's a few things against monarchy, but I try and
other things against monarchy in my book.
Yeah. It's just against the authoritarianism, really, against that.
Yeah. Well, it's a rehash, Philip. So we can rewrite a couple of sections here and there.
Nothing's perfect apart from Bitcoin.
Yeah, which is damn near perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not perfect. What's that quote? I think it's one of Tomer Strawlight's quotes. Bitcoin is never needed to be perfect. It just needed to be good enough to last forever.
Yeah, that's it. But it's that's what Adam Back did once. Is he spent a few months seeing if he could improve Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But he later, after spending a few months doing this, he found out that every feature of Bitcoin, if you try and improve any feature of Bitcoin, it's going to come at the expense of another feature.
Yeah.
And so it just sits on an engineering sweet spot.
Yeah. There's always a trade-off.
To me, that's perfect. That's perfect, because really at the end of the day, it's slow. I mean, not slow. It's clunky. It's slow. But it's strong, as strong as it can be, because that's the security side of it. You need it to last forever, and that's the beautiful part of it.
Yeah, and that's ties into Jeff Booth's explanation with that, like a blockchain can solve 2 out of 3 problems, and it's scalability, security, and decentralization. And you can choose 2 that you can focus on, but no, you have to do that at the expense of the 3rd one. So, and Bitcoin focused on security and decentralization and had to give up scalability because of that. So that's why you can approximately only do 7 transactions per second on the Bitcoin base layer. But then again, after SegWit was introduced, we got the Lightning Network, and now scalability is solved.
It's solved.
And all the other blockchains had to sacrifice either decentralization or security for scalability. And in sacrificing one of those, you sacrifice the other as well.
Exactly. Well, you said it very eloquently there, better than I could. So thank you.
So maybe just to even pull things back, even right to the beginning here, it's just a quick little, do you mind going over a little bit about your background, Philip, and also...
yes, of course.
And then maybe just tie that into Bitcoin a little bit too. And
where do I start? How far back?
How did the Karađorđević dynasty begin?
Okay, that started
from the very beginning.
Very beginning. 1804 is the key date. This is when Karađorđe, he was an affluent livestock merchant, pig farmer. So this was during the time when Serbia was under Ottoman Empire rule. We were slaves of the Ottomans. We had to pay our dues to the Ottomans, our taxes to the Ottomans, but we were still allowed to live. But it was tough. And he led the first resistance uprising against the Ottomans. He was a general to the army, and he got together an army and led the first uprising against the Ottomans. There was a subsequent second uprising led by the Obrenović dynasty later on in 17 or 19. But it's what Karađorđe's dynasty, Karađorđe was the one who led the first uprising, which led to the liberation of Serbia. And you can see in the map of the Ottoman Empire, all of a sudden, after 1804, just pop, Serbia just appears and becomes its own autonomous state. then his son, one of his sons, Alexander Karađorđević was, so Karađorđe, and in Serbian, Vic is the son of a bitch. So, I mean, son of,
All right.
Yeah, Vic. That's how the Vic comes.
So you in an Arab country, you would have been Karađorđe.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. All right. Karađorđe's son in Swedish.
Exactly. Karađorđe's son. Yeah.
Get it.
What happened? So Alexander Karađorđe was the one who founded the dynasty, and he was Knez Alexander of Karađorđević, which, because technically Serbia was a principality state of the Ottoman Empire. Then the Abramovich is quite complicated. The Abramovich family was then afterwards the dynasty. Then they were sort of murdered off in them, and some sort of assassinations happened because they weren't very popular. And in 1903, King Peter I became the king of Serbia, and he promised the people that he would move Serbia away from Austro-Hungarian he would move him away from Austrian-Hungarian and move it towards more Western and Russia trade. This was huge undertaking that he managed to pull off at the dismay of the Austrian-Hungarian Empire, but he pulled it off that we became more of a sovereign state. But then when he died, King Alexander, his son, the King Alexander I, was the one who formed Yugoslavia. It was first the kingdom of Serbian, Croats, and Slovenes. And that was basically to unite the people, the Slavs together, to form a stronger nation against the Austrian-Hungarians, and that then formed into Yugoslavia later on. He was assassinated in 1934. His cousin became the standing king because my grandfather, King Peter, was too young at the time, 13 years old. But then by the time my grandfather became of age, it was already pretty much the Second World War. And that's when lovely communism was really becoming a thing around Europe, around the world. And this is when the Brits decided to support Tito over my family, because they saw interest, because Yugoslavia during the 20s and 30s was very, very successful, very wealthy, a lot of asset creation, a lot of nobility coming out, a lot of wealth. And so the Brits, this is something that Brits couldn't really control. So who are they going to support in the Second World War afterwards? They were looking to see how the geopolitics could be working on their side. It was easier to support a failing socialist republic than a very successful Yugoslav empire. Essentially, it was an empire, relatively speaking. So my father was born in 1945 in exile in London. And then I was born, my older brother was born in 1980. I was born in 1982 in Washington with my twin brother. We lived in Washington for a few years. Then my parents separated. My brothers and I moved to Spain with my mother. My mother remarried. And then my brothers and I moved to London with my father and stepmother. And then in 2001, when Milosevic got ousted, that's when we were given our citizenship back to Yugoslavia. It was Serbia, Montenegro at the time, and that's when my father then moved into the palace. There, all our property was confiscated, or so should I say, stolen, and it still is confiscated to this day. But my father lives in the palace in Belgrade, and with my stepmother. And then I met my wife and married her in 2017. We had our son Stefan in 2018, and in 2020, my wife and I moved back to Belgrade. My wife is Serbian, Danica, Dana for short, and we live in downtown Belgrade, and then here we are today.
When you say your property was stolen, is that like a bunch of castles, or
yes? Yeah, well, it's more than just land, but we had gold mines as well.
Oh yeah.
We had a couple of gold mines. We had a lot of land. We had in Belgrade, we had two palaces. They're the two palaces on the same ground in Dedinje, which is like on the hills of Belgrade. That's where my father lives in one of those. Around Yugoslavia and Slovenia, there was a lake palace, Vila Bled. In Montenegro, there was Miloče, which is the beach palace, beach property. And then there was some other lands and farms and gold mines and just lots of property that was taken away from us by the communists.
That's quite the story. I mean, luckily for your family, the forthcoming generations will just have to remember 12 words, and
yes, exactly.
they won't need no gold mines. What a story! So that guy, where were we? Like in the beginning of the 19th, the guy that got assassinated there. What was his name?
Well, actually, my Karađorđe was the first one who led the uprising in Karađorđe. The first Karađorđe was he was finally assassinated. It took about 7 attempts to kill him, and he was finally axed down.
Oh shit! So a lot of your ancestors got assassinated.
Yeah, but it was my great grandfather Alexander, King Alexander I, who was assassinated in Marseille. In 1934, when he visited Marseille, and he was received by the foreign minister at the time, and he was the first actually assassination caught on camera.
Oh, that's quite the story, like Game of Thrones type series one day.
Yeah,
over the generations.
So, out of curiosity, what is the role of the monarchy now?
So there is no official role. But it's just recognition by the people, because a lot of people here recognize the Karađorđević as the Karađorđe is the father of Serbia, as one of the forefathers of Serbia, and the monarchy was also a memorable, good time, and a lot of people think that it shouldn't have been abolished. So there's a lot of support for monarchy here. I mean, I was thinking, there was probably about 30-40% would probably vote it back right now. Maybe about 30-40% are indifferent. So there's a lot of respect. And my wife and I are doing a lot of work to try and promote the monarchy again as an alternative to what's happening these days. And we're trying to just connect the old with the new. This is why I love Bitcoin, because Bitcoin brings us back to what hard money is about. Bitcoin brings us back to understanding the need for hard, sound money. And it's future. It's modern. It's a new discovery. And monarchy, it's an old thing, yes, but as we discussed earlier on, that monarchy it's a very logical way of governing a prosperous country, state, or something. I mean, it has a lot of benefits over democracy. Yeah, if monarchy was being introduced back in Serbia, it would be a constitutional monarchy. But I would take that, because that would actually add an extra check on the powers that are happening over here as another establishment, really. So I find that the state here has become too strong. It's like most of other republics around the world. I mean, most of democracy, any democracy around the world, is that the government overreach it's a huge issue over here. You talk about anything over here, and when my wife and I speak about any issue over here, we're instantly labeled as opposition, because it's become very political. But that's the problem. We're not talking about the politics or the state itself. We're just talking about issues. And we've come at the age right now where everything is politics. And if you say anything that goes against the flow, the narrative, then you're a dissident.
Yeah, it's really hot. I mean, Sweden is a constitutional monarchy.
Yes.
The king is the official head of state, even though it's not really participant.
It's more ceremonial. Yes,
it's more ceremonial, but as you say, it sort of keeps things in checks, and that's like goes for all the monarchies, old monarchies of Europe. So I think they're at least on paper they're more robust over time.
Well, of course, look at in the Arab Peninsula, in the Arab world, you can see that the monarchies are much more stable than the republics and the non-monarchies over there. You look at the monarchies there. Look at Oman, UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Jordan. These countries are extremely stable over time, over the last 100, 200 years. But then you look at countries like Iraq and Syria. I think Syria was a monarchy for like a year apparently, but that didn't really work out. But Iraq, Iran, Lebanon. These countries have had huge issues, only exacerbated in the last 100 years by central banking.
This is very interesting. In the Hopper book you showed before, the Democracy, the God That Failed. This is the great taboo subject because we're all brainwashed for at least 12 years in all Western democracies that democracy is crucial to society and that there are no alternatives and that this is progression.
Completely brainwashed. People,
Yeah.
if you speak against democracy, you are a bad person.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the one thing you're not allowed to criticize at all.
You can't criticize. Democracy is painted with the most beautiful colors and everything. You know, it's painted with the LGBTQ flag. It's beautiful. It's something that you can never go against because it's the choice of the people and stuff. But really, when it comes down to when you do the logic, when you do some reasoning, some logical reasoning behind it, it fails. It will fail over time. Every democracy will fail.
It doesn't remove the incentive the ruler has to loot everyone else, but rather it enhances it because they only have 4 years to loot as much as they can.
Yes.
So and they don't have to think of the future the way a monarch has. That's basically the argument.
Of course, it's high time preference over low time preference. Monarch way of thinking. A monarchy has to, if that monarchy dynasty wants to survive 100, 200 millennia, he has to make a decision that his offspring will have to bear that any decision he makes. Yeah. So he has to be very careful with the decisions. So this is what, he will often make the right decisions.
Yeah. And then the counter argument is often like, what about if you get King Joffrey from Game of Thrones that just wants to assassinate everyone? And the answer to that is, well, you get that in a democracy as well. Like look at Hitler, for instance. He was voted into power.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
So that issue is not solved by democracy.
But even within a monarchy, people think the monarchy is very centralized. But within the monarchy, the family is actually quite decentralized, and there are checks within the family. There are So there's ways of mitigating such a Joffrey situation.
A drop of something in a bowl of soup somewhere will solve that problem.
Completely.
Although a little more on the current events, the monarchy in the UK is currently having their own kind of crisis with some of those machinations being made a little bit more public, and whichever side of the Harry whatever issue you fall on exactly, it's quite interesting to see how the royal family there sort of performed prophylaxis against things going against the not even just the way of doing things. Well, in my view, a little bit more of an internal disruption, like Harry and Meghan trying to disrupt things. But
Harry and Meghan, we want to be left alone. Then Netflix series, interview, Oprah Winfrey. We want to be. I don't know. I understand where they're coming from, but no, I don't think they should be. I think that's selling out. You know, they're signing $100 million deals and just basically just talking shit. I'm sure they do have some points, but this is the way they'll go about doing it. You don't sell out like that. That's not respectful.
The funny thing about the British monarchy as well is that they're another one of those monarchies that really doesn't have a lot of proper power, even though maybe there was some recently, maybe there was more than people really understood.
They have the right to annex. They have the right to overturn some stuff. I think one of the last times they actually exercised that power was against Alan Turing. I think they overturned that, saying that he was not that. You know, Alan Turing was convicted for being gay, and they overturned that, and they pardoned a lot of people and things like that. But
but the Queen, recently passed Queen in the UK, she's been like the anchor for that civilization for the past. What is it? She survived like 32 different.
It was just 16 different prime ministers.
16. Yeah. That's,
yes.
The answer to the pub quiz question is Liz Truss, who was the
sixth shortest lived, also the shortest reigning prime minister as well on record.
Yeah. Yeah, not 32-16. That's another.
Take it 16.
Yeah, probably makes more sense than 32. She was old, but she was not that old.
The point I was trying to get at, though, with kind of this monarchy, the powers they have are quite limited. And,
very limited, yes. And
then they had this whole commonwealth as well, where they're technically also the monarch, but might as well not even be there. Canada, where I'm from originally, is still quite monarchistic in terms of kind of having the symbology, but now is that kind of transitioning over. There's a little bit of, I would say, national identity is the only thing that kind of keeps monarchism around. And it's also troublesome, kind of hard for Canada, being this nation where so many people have come from all over the world, and only a small part of the population is originally English. And so I guess what I'm trying to get at here is that the purpose of monarchy these days seems to be some combination of this national identity thing, but really people don't necessarily want monarchy to have power. Versus now you're also talking about that as a check on the state, which in some sense would actually turn into similar to what the US has with the executive branch and the presidential based system. Essentially, what is your take on kind of this national identity versus the potential that a monarchy could do with just a little bit more power?
Well, firstly, democracies, as we talked about before, is they have that very high time preference way of only thinking about getting voted in the next election, and then during that term, they try and take as much as they can to secure their future. So I would say, it's not really taking away the democracy. Yes, it is taking away them. It's moving to a more voluntarism system, like an anarcho-capitalist system, right? And you would have a monarchy in place there, and this monarchy it's more of a caretaker of customs and traditions, and it acts as that continuity and unity of people. Because people, at the end of the day, if you just left, I believe that if you just left to just pure voluntarism over time, you might end up losing people might end up losing their identity over time. And I think people like that identity. That's what brings people together.
If I may here, Philip, because
yes, please.
There's some Hopper writing about this in the Short History of Man, another recent a Hopper book I read recently. And the closest thing to pure voluntarism that existed is what led to monarchies later down the line. Sort of when you had feudal lords and city-states all over Europe, that preceded kingdoms, and in those societies, when anything criminal happened, when there was a violation, like the elders of the town or the nobility of the town were tasked with judging whoever the criminal was. But then when monarchies arrived on the scene, that power, so that the king sort of became the central bank of the feudal era. Like he was the above the law in that sense, which these lords weren't really, because they if someone did something out of the ordinary, the other lords could expel him or something. So that's the view of history there. So what happens then is that when kings arrive on the scene, this is the critique of monarchies, because what happens when you centralize power to the king is that over time he can grant himself more and more privileges of how to conduct law or how the legal system in that area should work, in that country should work. So he could influence courts, which over time led to the monarch having more and more power in many countries, which is totally natural. And in the end, that sort of leads to democracy and leads to, it's getting so centralized now, so we need this facade of the people's will. And then, of course, it gets even worse after that, and the state grows. So it's sort of like every other bureaucratic institution, that it tends to grow like a cancer over time, even though the process is way slower in a monarchy than in a democracy, which is like accelerating all that bureaucratic cancer.
But what accelerated it?
Yeah, that's a good question. Like the point is that sort of a voluntarist society, it preceded everything, and like in the beginning we were either just interacting voluntary with one another or killing one another off.
We were born naked.
Violent.
Yeah, we were born naked into this world.
Yeah, and some order. Of course, all of these political systems or systems of rule, of course, led to more stability. But we haven't really tried
Do you think that Bitcoin helps to make monarchy even a better choice?
I think Bitcoin allows you to be your own monarch, and it allows you to knight your children into lords and ladies, because what you're doing when you're putting up what you're effectively doing when you're putting up a Bitcoin inheritance plan is that you make sure that you sort of dub your children to lords and ladies and telling them that you inherit this wealth that I have.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to inherit it, and this is the family wealth, and it cannot be confiscated over time. So it's basically giving each and every one of us the same power as only those that were knighted had back in the day.
Correct. Yes.
Which is a beautiful thing, because those responsible, the people that are most responsible will use this and will thrive from it. And
of course,
the more reckless you are, the less you have to gain here.
But that's how freedom works. It's freedom comes with great freedom comes great responsibility.
Yes, as Lord Spider-Man once said.
Yes.
So,
you can't be free. If you can be freedom and reckless, and then you'll lose your freedom. But if you're freedom and responsible, you will keep your freedom.
I think the interesting thing about this talk of voluntarism, I liked what you said, Filip, about that monarchy could be what do you say, the safeguard of tradition or something like that?
Sort of an anchor.
Traditions, an anchor, yes.
So this anchor, if it has value and people in a certain area decide that there's value in having this anchor, as you put it, then the monarchy is actually is something that people find value in and can choose to support voluntarily, right?
Yes, correct. And pay minimal taxes or no taxes too.
Well, and that's the second part of this is that I think under a Bitcoin based system, the ability for anyone to have the seniorage and be close to the money printer and get benefit from that, which I think has something to do with monarchy in the past being seen as, or actually being overly authoritarian, because they have that lever at the disposal there. If that's not in anyone's hands at all, then and it's not in the hands of anyone, monarchy or something like that, then the real purpose, I think, can come out and is much more palatable to people.
Yes. Well put.
Yeah. The Swedish monarchy, a constitutional monarchy, like I think there's more than 70% of the population are for it. So they're pro-monarch, constitutional monarchy. So the king and the queen and of course Princess Victoria are and her sister and her brother are very popular, and so people love monarchs and the tradition and the history and the tabloids and everything else surrounding it. Of course they like it, and in a way you can say it's sort of voluntarist, because they like it because the monarchs don't meddle with the political affairs. So in a constitutional monarchy, the king doesn't really meddle with politics. And I think that's a huge part of why the people like it. Like if there was an absolute ruler who said you can't do this and you can't do that, then they wouldn't like it as much. So it's sort of popularized by a voluntary thing. You see where I'm getting at?
I see, and I see where you're getting, but But then that's when we're taught that absolute monarchies are resemble dictatorships.
Yeah, but they can't be, because I think they would basically, if you just remove the political layer completely and democracy and all that, it wouldn't be that much different. The monarch would still have to just mind his own business and not meddle with things.
That's the whole idea of why a monarchy works. It has to mind its own business, and it has to, if a monarchy wants to be successful, it has taken enough from the people, because if it takes any more, then there'll be social unrest.
Yeah, and then there will be pitchforks and torches.
Pitchforks. We don't want pitchforks and torches. No.
Yeah, and pronouns.
No, and then we'll do exactly pronouns.
The taboo around democracy. The thing is that over time, more and more things tend to be taboo in a democracy. So you have democracy itself first, but now it's all these other things like the climate or pronouns or whatever. You can't really.
That's the collective mindset. It just, what's the word? It multiplies.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
It grows like a cancer.
Grows like a cancer. Yeah, exactly. You either understand history or you trust the government. You can't do both.
Oh, that's a good quote.
Yeah.
Yeah. History is subjective.
When I speak to people today, it's like, oh, this time it's different, about Ukraine war, about, things like that. Oh, this time it's different. But, but you understand that the history, the governments, you never actually, all the governments in the past have always done something bad. No, but this time it's different.
Yeah, it's like the other one, like we never had pure capitalism and we never had pure communism, but almost capitalism lifted a lot of people out of poverty, and almost communism killed almost everyone.
Yeah.
So which direction do you want to pull this in?
Oh, but the communists would say that capitalism killed more people.
Of course they would.
Yeah.
Which is insane. Like, people interacting voluntarily kills people.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, but look at the US. Yeah, but that's not capitalism
at
all. It's a planned economy. They have the Federal Reserve, FFS. Like,
we have planned economy, crony capitalism.
Yeah. But we all know that, of course. Yeah. This is a Freedom Footprint show.
I gotta say that I love the Freedom Footprint. I think it's fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's from the book. We just took it from the Everything Divided book, the Freedom Dioxide. So,
yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah. I was about to ask you about Crown Princess Victoria. You know her, right?
Oh yes, she's actually she was the best lady, I should say, of to my wife.
Oh yeah, I saw pictures of that.
Yeah,
nice.
No, we communicate, and hopefully we'll go visit Sweden one day.
All right. Yeah, I was hoping for Spain again, but
we'll go back to Spain, of course.
But yeah,
if there's a big conference happening in Spain and I get invited and you go, well, yeah, let's make that happen.
Yeah, let's make it happen. Let's make all of this. Let's make all of it happen. That's the motto here. That's what we do.
Well, and so I mean, it's been great initially with the big kind of conference tour and hearing about everything you've been doing post coming out as a Bitcoiner. Mm-hmm. I like the terminology, and then I don't even think we really heard nearly as much about exactly what you're doing with Jan 3 and all this. So basically what I'm trying to queue up is that we'll have to have you on again.
Yeah, that's perfect. Let's do that in a few. I'll be happy to come back on.
And you have to, I think I can reach Samson. We should have Samson on as well.
Yeah, reach out
Maybe
to
we
him.
can have you both together even.
Oh, we'd love to do that.
Yeah, and talk about Jan 3.
I think that's a good idea.
Excellent. Well, so can you just tell our listeners, viewers, where they could follow you, Jan 3, get in touch if they're interested in getting involved?
Sure. So I'm on Twitter as Prince Filip 1, but that's PRINCFILIP 1, the number 1. Jan 3 it's at Jan3com, capital JAN 3 and then small COM. And we're also on Instagram. I forget, I'm not going to go into that, but I think those two are good enough for now.
Wonderful. I'll make sure to find the correct links and put them in the description.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Filip, for joining us. It's been a great conversation. And anything last you'd like to mention?
Thank you very much for having me. It's been a very fun conversation. And I like to say that keep on learning about Bitcoin. I'm learning about it all the time, discovering it every moment. And it's a beautiful journey that I'm continuing and hopefully teaching other people along the way.
Beautiful.
Wonderful.
Yes. And as always, Filip, I love these conversations. When we start talking, we tend to never stop, do we?
Exactly.
All the best and all the good luck with everything in the future. And we'd love to have you on soon again. And looking forward to everything. Looking forward to the forward. Looking forward to all the conferences. And yeah, hopefully we'll meet in real life soon again.
I look forward to it. Great.
Hey, this has been the Freedom Footprint Show. Thanks a lot, and see you next time.